Good morning. And in this live stream, I'm going to talk about is excellence equal to perfection? So, the definition between the two is we must recognize that perfection and excellence are not the same thing. Perfectionism is all about the fear of failure, while striving for excellence is the urge for success. Excellence is superior performance, persistence, and commitment to do something exceptionally well. Does excellence mean perfect? No. Excellence doesn't always mean perfection, but it requires the drive to improve, be better, and to go the extra mile. So, what's the difference between striving for excellence and perfection? Those who strive for excellence in a healthy way take genuine pleasure in trying to meet high standards, whereas, on the other hand, perfectionism results in struggles with self doubt, fear of disapproval, and rejection. So, how do we drive for excellence and not perfection? Reward yourself for effort. Are results important? Focus on what you've already achieved. Perfection always about thinking what I haven't done or what I haven't got. Don't feel that you aren't good enough compared to others. So, why should you not strive for perfection and why you should strive for excellence? Obviously, I've said people often confuse perfectionism for excellence, and there's a good quote for Vince Lombardi. There's no reason there's a trophy named after him for the NFL for being the best team. He his quote is, "If you strive for perfection, you will ascertain excellence." So perfection is not something that you're going to achieve, but you by going after it, you're going to achieve excellence. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with striving for excellence, having high standards of yourself, and in general, there's nothing wrong with having high standards. In fact, it can be a good thing. High standards can encourage us to make improvements, solve problems, and do quality work. Perfectionism, on the other hand, however, is an impossible high standard. There's no room for imperfections, and there's no compromise for mistakes. And obviously, failure is all about making mistakes and is learning from those. Perfectionists have an impossibly high standard. High standards may be stretched to achieve, but they are attainable. They are things that we can I can't speak reasonably accomplish with effort, practice, and persistence. But pursuing perfection is futile. It can never be achieved, and yet perfectionists pursue impossibly high standards, even when doing so negatively affects their health, relationships, and self worth, and maybe a combination of all three. Having impossibly high standards adds additional stress to everything you do. It demoralizes you because you can never meet your impossibly high standards, so you constantly feel like a failure, no matter how much you accomplish. And setting impossibly high standards for others, your family and co-workers, leads to nagging, frustration, and arguing that erodes your relationships and leave them demoralized as well. Perfectionists also see mistakes as failures. People who strive for excellence can accept that mistakes are inevitable and value what they can learn from them. They don't let mistakes define them. But perfectionists see mistakes as evidence of their inadequacies or inferiority. They can expect themselves to know everything, to outperform everyone, to always know the right thing to do or to say, to be above reproach and never let anyone down. This is not only unrealistic, it's a heavy burden to carry. And then finally, the primary difference between excellence and perfectionism is the way making mistakes or having flaws is viewed. A perfectionist will tend to overgeneralize mistakes and shortcomings. We take one mistake and we use it to deem ourselves as a complete failure or failures or inferior. This thinking error keeps perfectionists stuck on the negatives, unable to see potentially positive aspects of mistakes and imperfections, when in reality there may be many benefits to embracing our imperfections and learning from these missteps. I, for one, would fall into that camp because of the decade I spent in sport, that you were always analyzing the 1%. That I fall into this trap in my current life from time to time to overanalyze things, to not be content with looking at mistakes or flaws in a reproach that I can learn from, and look really laser into to obviously misgivings as the circumstance may be a failure, but that doesn't predicate me being a failure. So I've obviously learned as a result of mindfulness and meditation and mindset to be able to distinguish the two. Whereas before I was entrenched and couldn't see the difference. So if something went awry in business, I was the failure. So I'm not saying you can't be able to work your way through this. Obviously, CBT is one way to do it, to work through cognitive behavioral therapy, to then obviously have that self-awareness when you're striving for excellence, and then maybe sometimes you're reaching for something that's imperfect, and it's obviously perfection that obviously can't be, you can't be 100% all the time. Obviously, when we expect the perfection, well, inevitably we'll be disappointed. Everyone makes mistakes, no matter how smart they are or how hard they work. Instead, we should strive for excellence. Excellence is striving high, but offering yourself grace for mistakes made and things you don't yet know. And that is from Martin 2019, which I will link in the comments. So let me know in the comments what you've thought of today's video. Do you fall into the camp of being somebody that's striving for excellence, or do you fall foul of maybe being a perfectionist and always looking for the perfect solution to a problem? Obviously, I'd love to know. If you don't want to share that publicly, you can let me know by sending me a email, message, whatever you feel appropriate. So obviously that's Mondays in the books. Hope you've had a wonderful day, and I'll see you all again tomorrow.